Janamejaya said, having felt great affliction on account of the abduction of their wife, and having rescued Krishna thereafter, what did the Pandavas next do? Vaisampayana said, having felt great affliction on account of the abduction of Krishna, King Yudhishthira, of unfading glory, with his brothers, left the woods of Kamyaka and returned to the delightful and picturesque Dvaita Vana, abounding in trees and containing delicious fruits and roots. And the sons of Pandu, with their wife Krishna, began to reside there, living frugal on fruits and practicing rigid vows. And while those oppressors of foes, the virtuous King Yudhishthira, the son of Kunti, and Bhishmasena, and Arjuna, and those other sons of Pandu, born of Madri, were dwelling in the Vaitavana, practicing rigid vows. They underwent, for the sake of a Brahmana, great trouble, which, however, was destined to bring about their future happiness. I will tell thee about the trouble which those foremost of Kurus underwent while living in those woods, and which in the end brought about their happiness. Do thou listen to it. Once on a time, as a deer was booting about, it chanced that the two sticks for making fire and a shining staff belonging to a Brahmana devoted to ascetic austerities struck fast into its antlers, and thereupon that powerful deer of exceeding flatness with long bounds speedily went out of the hermitage, taking those articles away. And seeing those articles of his thus carried away, the Brahmana, anxious on account of his Agnihotra, quickly came before the Pandavas, and approaching without loss of time Ajatasattu, seated in that forest with his brothers, the Brahmana, in great distress, spake these words. As a deer was booting about, it happened that my fire sticks and shining staff, which had been placed against a large tree, stuck fast to its antlers. That powerful deer of exceeding flatness have speedily gone out of the hermitage with long bounds, taking those articles away. Tracking that powerful deer by its footprints, do ye sons of Pandu, bring back those articles of mine, so that my Agnihotra may not be stopped. Hearing these words of the Brahmana, Yudhishthira became exceedingly concerned, and the son of Kunti, taking up his bow, sallied out with his brothers, and putting on their corselets and equipped with their bows, those bulls among men, intent upon serving the Brahmana, swiftly sallied out in the wake of the deer, and descrying the deer at no great distance, those mighty warriors discharged at it barbed arrows and javelins and darts. But the sons of Pandu could not pierce it by any means, and as they struggled to pursue and slay it, that powerful deer became suddenly invisible, and losing sight of the deer, the noble-minded sons of Pandu, fatigued and disappointed, and afflicted with hunger and thirst, approached a banyan tree in that deep forest, and sat down in its cool shade. And when they had sat down, Nakula, stricken with sorrow and urged by impatience, addressed his eldest brother of the Kuru race, saying, In our race, virtue hath never been sacrificed, nor hath there been loss of wealth from insolence. And being asked, we have never said to any creature, Nay. Why then in the present case have we met with this disaster? Yudhishthira said, There is no limit to calamities, nor is it possible to ascertain either their final or efficient cause. It is the Lord of justice alone who distributeth the fruit of both virtue and vice. Thereupon Behemoth saith, surely this calamity hath befallen us, because I did not slay the praticar on the very spot when he dragged Krishna as a slave into the assembly. And Arjuna saith, surely this calamity hath befallen us, because I resented not those beating woes, piercing the very bones, uttered by the Sutta son. And Sahadeva saith, surely this calamity hath befallen us, because I did not slay Sakuni when he defeated thee at dice. Then King Yudhishthira addressed Nakula, saying, do thou climb this tree and look around the 10 points of the horizon. Do thou see whether there is water near us, or such trees as grow on watery grounds. These thy brothers are all fatigued and thirst. Thereupon, saying, so be it, Nakula speedily climbed up a tree, and having looked around, said unto his eldest brother, I see many a tree that groweth by the water side, and I hear the cries of cranes. Therefore, without doubt, water must be somewhere here. Hearing these words, Kunti's son Yudhishthira, firm in truth, said, go thou and fetch water in these quivers. Saying so be it, at the command of his eldest brother, Nakula quickly proceeded towards the place where there was water, and soon came upon it. And beholding a crystal lake inhabited by cranes, he desired to drink of it, when he heard these words from the sky, do not commit this harsh act. This lake hath already been in my possession. Do thou first answer my questions, and then drink of this water, and take away. Nakula, however, who was exceedingly thirsty, disregarding these words, drank of the cool water, and having drunk of it, dropped down dead. And seeing Nakula delay, Yudhishthira, the son of Kunti, said unto Sahadeva, the heroic brother of Nakula, it is long since our brother, he who was born immediately before thee, hath gone from hence. Do thou go and bring back thy uterine brother, together with water. At this Sahadeva saying, so be it, set out in that direction. And coming to the spot, beheld his brother lying dead on the ground, and afflicted at the death of his brother, and suffering severely from thirst, he advanced towards the water, when these words were heard by him, do not commit this harsh act. This lake hath already been in my possession. First answer my question, and then drink of the water, and take away as much as thou mayest require. Sahadeva, however, who was extremely thirsty, disregarding these words, drank of the water, and having drunk of it, dropped down dead. Then Yudhishthira, the son of Kunti, said unto Vijaya, it is long since that thy 2 brothers have gone. Blessed be thou. Do thou bring them back, together with water. Thou art the refuge of us all when plunged in distress. Thus addressed the intelligent Gudakesa, taking his bow and arrows and his naked sword, set out for that lake of waters, and reaching that spot, he whose car was drawn by white steeds beheld those tigers among men, his 2 younger brothers who had come to fetch water, lying dead there, and seeing them as if asleep, that lie among men, exceedingly aggrieved, raised his bow and began to look around that wound. He found none in that mighty forest, and being fatigued, he who was capable of drawing the bow by his left hand as well, hooked in the direction of the water. And as he was hooking, he heard these words from the sky, why dost thou approach this water? Thou shalt not be able to drink of it by force. If thou can answer the question I will put to thee. Then on shalt thou drink of the water, and take away as much as thou requirest. Thus forbidden, the son of Pritha said, Do thou forbid me by appearing before me? And when thou shalt be sorely pierced with my arrows, thou wilt not then again speak in this way. Having said this, Partha covered all sides with arrows inspired by mantras, and he displayed his skill in shooting at an invisible mark by sound alone. And sorely afflicted with thirst, he discharged barbed darts and javelins and arrows, and showered on the sky innumerable shafts incapable of being baffled. Thereupon the invisible Yakisha said, What need of all this trouble? Do thou drink only after answering my questions. If thou drink, however, without answering my questions, thou shalt die immediately after. Thus addressed, Pritha's son, the Dhananjaya, capable of drawing the bow with his left hand as well, disregarding those words, drank of the water, and immediately after dropped down dead. And Kunti's son, Yudhishthira, addressed Bhishmasena, saying, It is a long while that Nakula and Sahadeva and Vibhihatsu have gone to fetch water, and they have not come yet. Good betide thee, do thou bring them back, together with water. Thereupon, saying, So be it, Bhishmasena set out for that place where those tigers among men, his brothers, lay dead. And beholding them, Bhishma afflicted Tog, he was with thirst, and was exceedingly distressed. And that might-armed hero talked all that to have been the act of some Yakisha or Hakishasa. And Pritha's son, Vrikodara, talked, I shall surely have to fight today. Let me, therefore, first appease my thirst. Then that bull of the Bharata race rushed forward with the intention of drinking. Thereupon the Yakisha said, Do not commit this harsh act. This lake hath already been in my possession. Do thou first answer my questions, and then drink and take away as much water as thou requirest. Thus addressed, but that Yakisha of immeasurable energy, Bhishma, without answering his questions, drank of the water, and as soon as he drank, he fell down dead on the spot. Then, thinking that his brothers had left him long since, Yudhishthira waited for some time, and the king said unto himself again, Why is it that the two sons of Madri are delaying? And why doth the elder of the Gandiva delay? And why doth Bhishma too, and yet with great strength, delay? I shall go to search for them. And resolved to do this, the might-armed Yudhishthira then rose up, his heart burning in grief. And that bull among men, the royal son of Kunti, talked within himself, Is this forest under some malign influence, or is it infested by some wicked beasts? Or have they all fallen in consequence of having disregarded some might being, or not finding water in the spot whither those heroes had first repaired? They have spent all this time in search through the forest. What is that reason for which those bulls among men do not come back? And speaking in this strain, that foremost of monarchs, the illustrious Yudhishthira, entered into that mighty forest where no human sound was heard, and which was inhabited by deers and bears and birds, and which was adorned with trees that were bright and green, and which echoed with the hum of the black bees and the notes of winged warblers. As he was proceeding along, he beheld that beautiful lake, which looked as if it had been made by the celestial artificer himself, and it was adorned with flowers of a golden hue, and with lotuses and cindyhuvars, and it abounded with canes, and ketakas, and caraviras, and pipalas, and fatigued with toil. Yudhishthira saw that tank, and was struck with wonder. Yudhishthira saw his brothers, each possessed of the glory of Indra himself, lying dead like the regents of the world dropped from their spheres at the end of the Yuga, and beholding Arjuna lying dead, with his bow and arrows dropped on the ground, and Bhishmasena and the twins motionless and deprived of life, the king breathed a hot and long sigh, and was bathed in tears of grief, in beholding his brothers lying dead. The might-armed son of Dharma, with hurt, hacked and angst, began to lament profusely, saying, Thou hadst vowed, saying, I shall with mace smash the tigers of Duryodhana in battle. All that have become fruitless now. The promises of men may be ineffectual. I have the words of the gods uttered in respect of thee being thus fruitless, while thou wert in thy mother lying in whom the gods had said, This thy son shall not be inferior to him of 1,000 eyes. And in the northern Paripatra mountains, our beings had sung, saying, The prosperity hobbied by foes will be recovered by this on without delay. No one will be able to vanquish him in battle, while there will be none whom he will not be able to vanquish. Why, then, hath that Jisnu, endowed with great strength, been subject to death? Why doth that Dhananjaya, relying on whom we had hitherto endured all this misery, lie on the ground, blighting all my hopes? Why have those heroes, those mighty sons of Kunti, Bhishmasena, and Dhananjaya, came under the power of the enemy, those who themselves always slew their foes, and whom no weapons could resist? Surely this vile heart of mine must be made of adamant. Science, beholding these twins lying today on the ground, it doth not split. Ye bulls among men, versed in hard urit, and acquainted with the properties of time and place, and endowed with ascetic merit, ye who do performed our sacred rites, why lie ye thou without performing acts deserving of you? Why lie ye insensibly on the earth, with your bodies unwounded, ye unvanquished ones, and with your vows untouched? And beholding his brothers sweetly sleeping there as on mountain slopes, the high-souled king, overwhelmed with grief and bathed in sweat, came to a distressful condition, and saying, It is even so, that virtuous lord of men, immersed in an ocean of grief, anxiously proceeded to ascertain the cause, and that might-armed and high-souled one, acquainted with the divisions of time and place, could not settle his course of action. Having thus bewailed much in this strain, the virtuous Yudhishthira, the son of Dharma, or Tapa, restrained his soul and began to reflect in his mind as to who had slain those heroes. There are no strokes of weapons upon these, nor is an on footprint here. The being must be marked we by whom my brothers have been slain. Earnestly shall I ponder over this, or let me first drink of the water, and then know all. It may be that the habitual crooked-minded Duryodhana have caused this water to be secretly placed here by the king of the Gandharvas. What man of sense can trust wicked of evil persons, with whom good and evil are alike? Or perhaps this may be an act of that wicked soul led on through secret messengers of his, and it was thus that highly intelligent one gave way to diverse reflections. He did not believe that water to have been tainted with poison, for thought that no corpse like pallor was on them. The color on the faces of these my brothers have not faded, and it was thus that Yudhishthira talked, and the king continued, each of these foremost of men was like unto a mighty cataract, who therefore Seviyama himself, who in due time bringeth about the end of all things, could have baffled them thus. And having concluded this for certain, he began to perform his ablutions in that lake, and while he descended into it, he heard these words from the sky, uttered by the Yakisha. I am a crane, living on tiny fish. It is by me that thy younger brothers have been brought under the sway of the Lord of the departed spirits. If thou answer not the questions put by me, even thou shalt number the fifth corpse. Do not act harshly. This lake hath already been in my possession. Having answered my questions first, do thou drink and carry away. Hearing these words, Yudhishthira said, Art thou the foremost of the Hudras, or of the Vasus, or of the Marutas? I ask, what god art thou? This could not have been done by a bird. Who is it that hath overthrown the four mighty mountains, the Himavat, the Paripatra, the Vindhya, and the Malaya? Great is the feat done by thee, thou foremost of strong persons, those whom neither gods, nor Gandharvas, nor Asuras, nor Rakshasas could endure in might conflict, have been slain by thee. Therefore, exceedingly wonderful is the deed done by thee. I do not know what thy business may be, nor do I know thy purpose. Therefore, great is the curiosity and fear that have taken possession of me. My mind is greatly agitated, and as my head is aching, I ask thee, therefore, who art thou that stayest here? Hearing these words, the Yakisha said, I am good betide thee, a Yakisha, and not an amphibious bird. It is by me that all these brothers of thine, and that with might prowess, have been slain. Hearing these accursed words, couched in harsh syllables, Yudhishthira, approaching the Yakisha who had spoken then, stood there. And that bull among the Biharatas then beheld that Yakisha of unusual eyes and hook body, tall like a palmyra palm, and looking like fire or the sun, and irresistibly and gigantic like a mountain, staying on a tree, and uttering a loud roar, deep as that of the clowns. And the Yakisha said, These thy brothers, repeatedly forbidden by me, won't forcibly take away water. It is for this that they have been slain by me. He that wisheth to live should not drink this water. Act not harshly. This lake hath already been in my possession. Do thou first answer my questions, and then take away as much as thou likest. Yudhishthira said, I do not covet what is already in thy possession. Virtuous persons never approve that. One should applaud his own self. Do thou ask me? The Yakisha then said, What is it that maketh the sun rise, who keeps him company, who causeth him to set, and in whom is he established? Yudhishthira answered, Brahma maketh the sun rise, the gods keep his company, the Dharma causeth him to set, and he is established in truth. The Yakisha asked, By what doth one become learned? By what doth he attain what is very great? How can one have a second? And how can one acquire intelligence? Yudhishthira answered, It is by the truth that a person becometh learned. It is by ascetic austerities that one acquireth what is very great. It is by intelligence that a person acquireth a second, and it is by serving the old that one becometh wise. The Yakisha asked, What constituteth the divinity of the Brahmanas? What even is their practice that is like that of the pious? What is the human attribute of the Brahmanas, and what practice of theirs is like that of the impious? Yudhishthira answered, The stud of the Vedas constitutes their divinity, their asceticism constitutes behavior that is like that of the pious. Their liability to death is their human attribute, and slander is their impiety. The Yakisha asked, What institutes the divinity of the Kshatriyas? What even is their practice that is like that of the pious? What is their human attribute? And what practice of theirs is like that of the impious? Yudhishthira answered, Arrows and weapons are their divinity. Celebration of sacrifices is that act which is like that of the pious. Liability to fear is their human attribute, and refusal of protection is that act of theirs which is like that of the impious. The Yakisha asked, What is that which constitutes the summa of the sacrifice? What the yajus of the sacrifice? What is that which is the refuge of a sacrifice? And what is that which sacrifice cannot do without? Yudhishthira answered, Life is the summa of the sacrifice, the mind is the yajus of the sacrifice, the hik is that which is the refuge of the sacrifice, and it is hik alone which sacrifice cannot do without. The Yakisha asked, What is of the foremost value to those that cultivate? What is of the foremost value to those that sow? What is of the foremost value to those that wish for prosperity in this world? And what is of the foremost value to those that bring forth? Yudhishthira answered, That which is of the foremost value to those that cultivate is rain. That of the foremost value to those that sow is seed. That of the foremost value to those that bring forth is offspring. The Yakisha asked, What person enjoying all the objects of the senses, and with intelligence, regarded by the world and liked by all beings, talk, breathing, doth not offer anything to these five, gods, guests, servants, pitris, and himself, talk and with breath is not yet alive. The Yakisha asked, What is greater than the earth itself? What is higher than the heavens? What is fleeter than the wind? And what is more numerous than grass? Yudhishthira answered, The mother is weightier than the earth, the father is higher than the heaven, the mind is fleeter than the wind, and our thoughts are more numerous than grass. The Yakisha asked, What is that which doth not close its eyes while I sleep? What is that which doth not move after birth? What is that which is without hurt? and what is that which swells with its own impetus? Yudhishthira answered, a fish doth not close its eyes while I sleep, an egg doth not move after birth, a stone is without hurt, and a river swelleth with its own impetus. The Yakisha asked, who is the friend of the exile? Who is the friend of the householder? Who is the friend of him that ails? And who is the friend of one about to die? Yudhishthira answered, the friend of the exile in a distant land is his companion. The friend of the householder is the wife. The friend of him that ails is the physician. And the friend of him about to die is charity. The Yakisha asked, who is the guest of our creatures? What is the eternal duty? What is Amrita? And what is this entire universe? Yudhishthira answered, Agni is the guest of our creatures. The milk of Quem is Amrita. Homa is the eternal duty. And this universe consists of air alone. The Yakisha asked, what is that which sojourneth alone? What is that which is reborn after its birth? What is the Hamed against cold? And what is the last field? The Yakisha asked, what is the highest refuge of virtue? What of fame? What of heaven? And what of happiness? Yudhishthira answered, liberality is the highest refuge of virtue, gift of fame, truth of heaven, and good behavior of happiness. The Yakisha asked, what is the soul of man? Who is that friend bestowed on men but the gods? What is man's chief support, and what is his chief refuge? Yudhishthira answered, the son is a man's soul, the wife is the friend bestowed on men but the gods. The clowns are his chief support, and gift is his chief refuge. The Yakisha asked, what is the best of all laudable things? What is the most valuable of all his possessions? What is the best of all gains? And what is the best of all kinds of happiness? Yudhishthira answered, the best of all laudable things is skill. The best of all possessions is knowledge. The best of all gains is health. And contentment is the best of all kinds of happiness. The Yakisha asked, what is the highest duty in world? What is that virtue which always beareth fruit? What is that which, if controlled, leadeth not to regret? And who are they with whom an alliance cannot break? Yudhishthira answered, the highest of duties is to refrain from injury. The rich, ordained in the tree, always bear fruit. The mind, if controlled, leadeth to no regret, and an alliance with the good never breaketh. The Yakisha asked, what is that which, if renounced, maketh on agreeably? What is that which, if renounced, leadeth to no regret? What is that which, if renounced, maketh on wealth? And what is that which, if renounced, maketh unhappy? Yudhishthira answered, pride, if renounced, maketh unagreeably. Wrath, if renounced, leadeth to no regret. Desire, if renounced, maketh unwealth. And avarice, if renounced, maketh unhappy. The Yakisha asked, for what doth one give away to Brahmanas? For what to mimes and dancers? For what to servants? And for what to king? Yudhishthira answered, it is for religion's merit that one giveth away to Brahmanas. It is for fame that one giveth away to mimes and dancers. It is for supporting them that one giveth away to servants, and it is for obtaining relief from fear that one giveth to kings. The Iakisha asked, with what is the world enveloped? What is that owing to which a thing cannot discover itself? For what are friends forsaken, and for what doth one fail to go to heaven? Yudhishthira answered, the world is enveloped with darkness. Darkness doth not permit a thing to show itself. It is from avarice that friends are forsaken, and it is connection with the world for which one faileth to go to heaven. The Yakisha asked, for what may one be considered as dead? For what may a kingdom be considered as dead? For what may a Saradha be considered as dead? And for what a sacrifice? Yudhishthira answered, for want of wealth may a man be regarded as dead. A kingdom for want of a king may be regarded as dead. A Saradha that is performed with the aid of a priest that hath no learning may be regarded as dead. And a sacrifice in which there are no gifts to Brahmanas is dead. The Yakisha asked, what constitutes the way? What hath been spoken of as water? What as food? And what as poison? Tell us what is the proper time of a Saradha, and then drink and take away as much as thou likest. Yudhishthira answered, they that are good constitute the way. Space hath been spoken of as water. The cow is food. A request is poison, and the Brahmana is regarded as the proper time of a Saradha. I do not know what thou mayest think of all this. The Yakisha asked, what hath been said to be the sign of asceticism, and what is true restraint? What constitutes forgiveness, and what is shame? Yudhishthira answered, staying in on religion is asceticism. The restraint of the mind is of all restraints the true one. Forgiveness consists in enduring enmity, and shame in withdrawing from all unworthy acts. The Yakisha asked, what is said to be knowledge? What tranquility? What constitutes mercy? And what hath been called simplicity? Yudhishthira answered, true knowledge is that of divinity. True tranquility is that of the heart. Mercy consists in wishing happiness to all, and simplicity is equanimity of heart. The Yakisha asked, what enemy is invincible? What constitutes an incurable disease? For men, what sort of a man is called honest, and what dishonest? Yudhishthira answered, anger is an invincible enemy. Covetousness constitutes an incurable disease. He is honest that desires the well of all creatures, and he is dishonest who is unmerciful. The Yakisha asked, what is ignorance, and what is pride? What is to be understood by idleness, and what hath been spoken of as grief? Yudhishthira answered, the true ignorance consists in not knowing one's duties. Pride is a consciousness of one being himself an actor or sufferer in life. Idleness consists in not discharging one's duties, and ignorance in grief. The Yakisha asked, what hath steadiness been said by the rishis to be, and what patience? What is a real ablution, and what is charity? Yudhishthira answered, steadiness consists in staying in own religion, and true patience consists in the subjugation of the senses. True health consists in washing the mind clean of all impurities, and charity consists in protecting all creatures. The Yakisha asked, what man should be regarded as learned, and who should he called an atheist? Who is to be called ignorant? what is called desire, and what are the sources of desire, and what is envy? Yudhishthira answered, he is to be called learned, who knoweth his duties. An atheist is he who is ignorant, and he is ignorant who is an atheist. Desire is due to objects of possession, and envy is nothing else than grief of heart. The Yakisha asked, what is pride, and what is hypocrisy? What is the grace of the gods, and what is wickedness? Yudhishthira answered, stolid ignorance is pride. The setting up of a religious standard is hypocrisy. The grace of the gods is the fruit of our gifts, and wickedness consists in speaking ill of others. The Yakisha asked, virtue, profit, and desire are opposite to one another. How could things thus antagonistic to one another exist together? Yudhishthira answered, when a wife and virtue agree with each other, then all the three thou hast mentioned may exist together. The Yakisha asked, who is he that is condemned to everlasting hell? It behoveth thee to soon answer the question that I ask. Yudhishthira answered, he that summoneth a poor Brahmana promises to make him a gift, and then tells him that he hath nothing to give, goeth to everlasting hell. He must go to everlasting hell, who imputes falsehood to the Vedas, the scriptures, the Brahmanas, the gods, and the ceremonies in honor of the Pitris. He goeth to everlasting hell, who talk in possession of wealth, never giveth away, nor enjoyeth himself from avarice, saying, he hath none. The Yakisha asked, by what birth, behavior, stud, or learning doth a person become a Brahmana? Tell us with certitude. Yudhishthira answered, listen, it is neither birth, nor stud, nor learning that is the cause of Brahmanahood. Without doubt, it is behavior that constitutes it. On behavior should always be well guarded, especially by Brahmana. He who maintaineth his conduct unimpaired is never impaired himself. Professors and pupils, in fact, are who stood the scriptures, if dedicated to wicked acts, are to be regarded as illiterate wretches. He on is learned who performeth his religious duties. He even that hath studied the four Vedas is to be regarded as a wicked wretch, scarcely distinguishable from a Sudra. He on who performeth the Agnihotra and hath his senses under control is called a Brahmana. The Yakisha asked, what doth one gain that speaketh agreeably words? What doth he gain that always acteth with judgment? What doth he gain that hath many friends? And what he that is devoted to virtue? Yudhishthira answered, he that speaketh agreeably words becometh agreeably to all. He that acteth with judgment obtaineth whatever he seeketh. He that hath many friends liveth happily, and he that is devoted to virtue obtaineth a happy state. The Yakisha asked, who is truly happy? What is most wonderful? What is the path? And what is the news? Answer these four questions of mine, and let thy dead brothers revive. Yudhishthira answered, a man who cooketh in his own house, on the fifth or the sixth part of the day, with scanty vegetables, who is not in debt, and who stirreth not from home, is truly happy. Day after day, countless creatures are going to the abode of Yama, yet those that remain behind believe themselves to be immortal. What can be more wonderful than this? What can be more wonderful than this? Argument leads to no certain conclusion. The truths are different from one another. There is not even one rich whose opinion can be accepted by all. The truth about religion and duty is hid in caves. That alone is the path along which the great have trod. This world full of ignorance is like a pun. The sun is fire. The days and nights are fuel. The months and the seasons constitute the wonden ladly. Time is the cook that is cooking our creatures in that pan. This is the news. The Iakis ha asked, Thou hast truly answered all my questions. Tell us now who is truly a man, and what man truly possesseth every kind of wealth. Yudhishthira answered, The report of one good action reacheth heaven, and spreadeth over the earth. As long as that report lasteth, so long is a person to whom the agreeably and the disagreeably, well and woe, the past and the future, are the same, is said to possess every kind of wealth. The Yakisha said, Thou hast truly answered who is a man, and what man possesseth every kind of wealth. Let on all amongst thy brothers, whom thou mayest wish, get up with life. Yudhishthira answered, Let this one that is of dark hue, whose eyes are red, who is tall like a large salad tree, whose chest is broad and arms long, let this Nakula get up with life. The Yakisha rejoined, This Bhishmasena is dear unto thee, and this Arjuna is one upon whom all of you depend. Why, then, dost thou wish a step-brother to get up with his life? How canst thou, forsaking Bhishma, whose strength is equal to that of 10,000 elephants, wish Nakula to live? People say that this Bhishma was dear to thee. From what motive then dost thou wish a step-brother to revive? Forsaking Arjuna, the might of whose arm is worshipped by all the sons of Pandu, why dost thou wish Nakula to revive? Yudhishthira said, If virtue is sacrificed, he that sacrificeth it is himself lost. So virtue also cherisheth the cherisher. Therefore, taking care that virtue by being sacrificed may not sacrifice us, and never forsake virtue. Abstention from injury is the highest virtue, and is, when even higher than the highest object of attainment, endeavor to practice that virtue. Let Nakula revive, let men know that the king is always virtuous. I will never depart from my duty. Let Nakula revive. My father had 2 wives, Kunti and Madri. Let both of them have children. This is what I wish. As Kunti is to me, so also is Madri. There is no difference between them in my eye. I desire to act equally towards my mothers. Let Nakula live. The Yakisha said, Since abstention from injury is regarded by thee as higher than both property and pleasure, let all thy brothers live. Then, agreeably to the words of the Yakisha, the Pandavas rose up, and in a moment their hunger and thirst left them. Thereupon Yudhishthira said, I ask thee that art incapable of being vanquished, and that standest on one leg in the tongue. What good art thou? For I cannot take thee for a Yakisha. Art thou the foremost of the Vasus, or of the Hudras, or of the chief of the Maruts? Or art thou the Lord himself of the Celestials, Elder of the Thunderbolt? Each of these my brothers is capable of fighting as 100,000 warriors, and I see not the warrior that can slay them all. I see that their senses have refreshed, as if they have sweetly awaked from slumber. Art thou a friend of ours, or even our father himself? At this the Yakisha replied, I am even thy father, the Lord of justice, possessed of great prowess. Know that I came hither desirous of beholding thee. Fame, truth, self-restraint, purity, candor, modesty, steadiness, charity, austerities, and brahmacharya. These are my body, in abstention from injury, impartiality, peace, finances, sanctity, and freedom from malice are the doors. Thou art always dear to me. By good luck thou art devoted to the five, and by good luck thou hast conquered the six. Of the six, two appear in the first part of life, two in the middle part thereof, and the remaining two at the end, in order to make men prepare to the next world. I am good betide thee, the Lord of justice. I came hither to test thy merit. I am well pleased to witness thy harmlessness, and I will confer boons on thee. Do thou ask of me boons, I shall surely confer them. Those that revere me never come by distress. Yudhishthira said, a deer was carrying away the Brahmana fire sticks. The first boon that I shall ask is made that Brahmana adorations to Agni be not interrupted. The Yakisha said, it was I who, for examining thee, was carrying away in the guise of a deer that Brahmana fire sticks. Thereupon that worshipful one said, I give thee this boon, good betide thee. Thou that art like unto an immortal, ask thou a fresh boon. Yudhishthira said, we have spent these 12 years in the forest, and the 13th year is come. May no one recognize us, as we spend this year somewhere. That worshipful one replied, I give this boon unto thee, and then answering Kunti's son, having truth for prowess, he said, even if ye range this earth in proper forms, none in the three worlds shall recognize you. Ye perpetuators of the Kuru race, through my grace, ye will spend this 13th year secretly and unrecognized in Virata kingdom, and every one of you will be able at will to assume any form he likes. Do ye now present the Brahmana with his fire sticks? It was on to test you that I carried them away in the form of a deer. Do thou ask for another boon that thou mayest like, I will confer it on thee. I have not yet been satisfied by granting boons to thee. Do thou, my son, accept a third boon that is great and incomparably. Thou art born of me, in Vidura, of portions of mine. Yudhishthira said, it is enough that I have beheld thee with my senses, eternal God of gods as thou art. Whatever boon thou wilt confer on me, I shall surely accept gladly. May I always conquer covetousness and folly and anger, and may my mind be ever devoted to charity, truth, and ascetic austerities. The Lord of justice said, even by nature hast thou been endowed with these qualities, for thou art the Lord of justice himself. Do thou again attain what thou askest for. Having said these words, the worshipful Lord of justice, who is the object of contemplation of all the worlds, vanished therefrom, and the high-souled Pandavas, after they had slept sweetly, were united with one another, and their fatigue dispelled. Those heroes returned to the hermitage, and gave back that Brahmana his fire sticks. That man who pursueth this illustrious and fame-enhancing history of the revival and meeting of father and son obtaineth perfect tranquillity of mind, and sons and grandsons, and the life extending over 100 years. In the mind of that man that lieth this history to hurt, never delighteth in unrighteousness, or in disunion among friends, or misappropriation of other person's property, or staining other people's wives, or in foul talks, commanded by the Lord of justice to thus spend in disguise the 13th year of non-discovery, the high-souled Pandavas, observant of vows and having truth for prowess, sat before those learned and vow-observing ascetics that from regard were dwelling with them in their exile in the forest. And with joined hands they said these words, with the intention of obtaining permission to spend the 13th year in the manner indicated. And they said, Ye know well that the sons of Dhritarashtra have by the sati deprived us of our kingdom, and have done us many other wrongs. We have passed 12 years in the forest in great affliction, the 13th year only, which we are to spend unrecognized, yet remaineth it behoveth you to permit us now to spend this year in concealment. Those rancorous enemies of ours, Suyodhana, the wicked-minded Karna, and Suvala son, should they discover us, who do might wrong to the citizens and our friends, shall we with the Brahmanas be again established in our own kingdom. Having said this, that poor-spirited son of the Dharma, King Yudhishthira, overwhelmed with grief and with assents, shocked in tears, swooned away. Thereupon the Brahmanas, together with his brothers, began to cheer him up. Then the Haumia spake unto the king these words, fraught with much meaning. Thou art learned and capable of bearing privations, art firm in promise, and of subdued sense. Men of such stamp are not overwhelmed by any calamity whatever. Even the high-souled gods themselves have wandered over various places in disguise, for the purpose of overcoming foes. Indra, for the purpose of overcoming his foes, dwelt in disguise in the asylum of Giriprastiha, in Nishadiha, and thus attained his end. Before taking his birth in the womb of Aditi, Vishnu, for the purpose of destroying the deities, passed a long time unrecognized, assuming the form of the higher Griba. Then how, disguising himself in the form of a dwarf, he by his prowess deprived valley of his kingdom, hath been heard by thee. And thou hast heard how Hutasana, entering into Vada and remaining in concealment, achieved the purpose of the gods. And thou hast heard how Hari, with the view of overcoming his foes, entered into Sakra Thunderbolt, and lay concealed there. And thou hast heard of the Opsi, the regenerate Rish Aurva, at on time performed for the gods, remaining concealed in his mother womb, and living in concealment in every part of the earth, Vivasvat, and with excellent energy, at last entirely burnt up all his foes, and living disguised in the abode of Dasahatiha, Vishnu, of dreadful deeds, slew the ten-necked on in battle. Thus remaining in disguise in various places, high-souled persons have before this conquered their enemies in battle. Thus shared by these words of the Haumia, the virtuous Yudhishthira, relying on his own wisdom, and that accurate from the scriptures, regained his composure. Then that foremost of strong persons, the might armed Bhishmasena, and with great strength, encouraging the king greatly, he spake these words. looking up to thy face, the elder of the Gandiva, acting according to his sense of duty, have not yet shown in harshness, and our talk full able to destroy the foe, Nakula and Sahadeva of dreadful prowess have been ever prevented by me. Never shall we swerve from that in which thou wilt engage us. Do thou tell us what is to be done. We shall speedily conquer our enemies. When Bhishmasena had said this, the Brahmanas uttered benedictions on the Viharatas, and then, obtaining their permission, went to their respective quarters. And all those foremost of Yatis and Munis versed in the Vedas, exceedingly desirous of again beholding the Pandavas, went back to their homes, and accompanied by the Raumia, these heroes, the 5 learned Pandavas, equipped in vows, set out with Krishna, and each versed in a separate science, and all proficient in mantras, and cognizant of when peace was to be concluded, and when war was to be waged. Those tigers among men, about to enter upon a life of non-recognition, the next day proceeded for a crossing, and then sat themselves down with the view of taking counsel of each other.